Shadow Chancellor. Mel Stride has launched a furious tirade against Rachel Reeves for jetting off to China and ducking his urgent question last week. Stride took aim at his cabinet counterpart for leaving questions to Chief Treasury Secretary Darren Jones and reeled off a list of the damning economic fortunes Britain is facing down. Rachel Reeves laughed and joked before replying back with a bag of air. In today's video, we will watch and react, all whilst going over all of the latest news from up and down the country. But first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and join our fast-growing community. Just a quick one to say we do have new One Keir t-shirts available on our website. Go to britishstand.com or check the link in the description. So have a watch of this.
Taxes breaking all their promises. This is a crisis made in Downing Street. And Mr. Speaker, it should hardly surprise the Chancellor that international markets are uneasy. The UK's long-term borrowing costs have risen to their highest in almost 30 years. But while the government was losing control of the economy, Mr. Speaker, where was the Chancellor? Her trip to China had not even begun when my urgent question was taken in the House last week. She was still in the country. But she sent the Chief Secretary rather than face up to her own failures. So can I ask the Right Honourable Lady why she chose not to respond herself? Mr. Speaker, the Chancellor, of course, ducked the difficult questions by jetting off to Beijing. I believe that in Labour circles they are calling it the Peking duck, Mr. Speaker. Well, whatever was on the menu in China, was it really worth the unedifying sight of an increasingly desperate politician scampering halfway around the world with a begging bowl? Was it really worth it? The Chancellor's deal pales in comparison to Labour's black hole, which has opened up in the public finances while the Right Honourable Lady was absent from her station. To give a sense of scale, Mr. Speaker, the deal the Chancellor has announced amounts to £120 million per year. The rise in our borrowing costs due to her disastrous budget has added around £12 billion to our annual spending on debt interest alone. Literally 100 times what she says she has brought back from Beijing. That is money that cannot now go on the public's priorities. £12 billion is enough to pay for 300,000 nurses, to cover Labour's pernicious winter fuel payments cut for 8.5 years. And of course, even before this latest market reaction, the budget meant spending tens of billions more in servicing our debt. According to the OBR forecast, 2/3 of the money raised from the Chancellor's jobs tax will be swallowed up by additional debt interest. Forget those billions going on better public services. They are going on paying the price of Labour's mismanagement. And we on this side know how this sorry story goes. We have seen it, Mr. Speaker. We have seen it all before. Socialist governments that think they can tax and spend their way to prosperity. Labour governments that simply do not understand that if you tax the living daylights out of business, you will get stagnation. They do not understand, Mr. Speaker, because there's barely a shred of business experience on the front bench opposite. And can I ask the Right Honourable Lady, which of her promises will she break if in March the OBR judge that she is now in breach of her own fiscal rules? Will she cancel promised spending? Will she ramp up borrowing? Or will she raise taxes yet again? Mr. Speaker, this whole sorry tale is nothing short of a Shakespearean tragedy. playing out before our eyes. This is the Hamlet of our time. They promised the electorate much while pouring the poison into their ear. At the end, you can feel the end. The Chancellor flailing, estranged it seems from those closest to her, those about her falling, the drums beating ever closer. To go or not to go, that is now a question. The Prime Minister will be damned if he does, but he will surely be damned if he does not. The British people deserve better.
Yeah. Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Mr. Speaker, the Shadow Chancellor is simply not serious. I mean, I've been on that side for 14 years. I think that usually when you have a statement, you ask some questions. Now, we heard a lot from the Right Honourable gentleman about what he wouldn't do. But we've heard absolutely nothing about what he would do. Now, you can now see what happens when the Leader of the Opposition tells the Shadow Cabinet they shouldn't have any policies. Because, as far as I can tell, the Conservative Party's economic strategy is to say that the UK should not engage with the second largest economy in the world. Or indeed with our nearest neighbours and our biggest trading partners in the European Union. His economic strategy is to support higher spending, but none of the right decisions that are required to deliver sound public finances. And his economic strategy is to ignore the mistakes of the past, with no apology to the British people for his part in Liz Truss's mini-budget that crashed the economy. Now, I mentioned Liz Truss's mini-budget, but I appreciate that, having said that, I may now receive a cease and desist letter from her later. Now, the one question that the Shadow Chancellor did ask was, why did I go to China? Well, I went to secure tangible benefits for British businesses trading overseas. And the Shadow Chancellor said, well, it wasn't worth it. Well, you say that to HSBC, to Standard Chartered, Prudential, Schroders and the London Stock Exchange, who attended those meetings with me last week and have all said about the difference that it would make. Now, I have been under no illusion about the scale that we face. After 14 years of stagnant economic growth, higher debt and economic uncertainty. And we have seen global economic uncertainty play out in the last week. But leadership is not about ducking these challenges. It is about rising to them. The economic headwinds that we face are a reminder that we should, indeed we must, go further and faster in our plan to kickstart economic growth that plunged under the last government. By bringing stability to the public finances after years of instability under the party opposite, unlocking investment that plummeted under the previous government, and pushing ahead with the essential reforms to our economy and public services. That is my message to the House today. Because if we get it right, the prize on offer to us, to the British people, is immense. The opportunity to make working people off by making Britain better off. That is the mandate that this government has, and this is what we will deliver.
What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments. Lastly, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle face potential evacuation from their £23 million Montecito mansion as devastating wildfires sweep through Southern California. The couple's affluent neighbourhood has been placed under a red flag warning amid fears of explosive fire growth across the region. Local fire officials have warned residents to be ready to evacuate as forecasted 70-mile-per-hour hurricane-force winds threaten to cause fires to grow rapidly and behave erratically. The warning comes just days after Harry and Meghan opened their doors to friends and loved ones fleeing the fires. The deadly wildfires have already claimed 24 lives and scorched more than 40,000 acres across Los Angeles. Firefighters are currently battling 4 active blazes, including the massive Palisades fire, which has burned through 23,000 acres and remains only 14% contained. The Eaton fire near Pasadena has consumed over 14,000 acres and is 1/3 contained, whilst the smaller Hurst fire is nearly under control. A new blaze, dubbed the Auto Fire, erupted Monday night in Ventura County, rapidly spreading to 56 acres amid strong wind gusts of up to 30 miles per hour. The Duke and Duchess have shown support for fire victims through their Archewell Foundation, making donations to relief efforts. The couple recently served meals to survivors, alongside the wife of Governor Gavin Newsom. Now, just 4 days after helping others escape the inferno, the Sussexes themselves may be forced to flee their sprawling 9-bedroom home. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comments section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you, take care, goodbye, care.